Hey there guys, today I have a very important piece of aviation history. This book is the repair manual for the Boeing 727. Now this book pretty much dissects everything in this aircraft. A mechanic would use it if they need to make any repairs, or if they were studying the plane in order to maybe operate it in the future. Now, as we open this book up, you can see that I have some pages in the side. This is just sheets I've put in there of areas of interest, but this book is absolutely amazing. So I got access to this from one of my dad's coworkers. Apparently he had this lying around. He said he used to have one for 747, but he said apparently he lost that. But right as we open it up, we have some pictures on the inside. Now this is a photo of the very first production 727. And if you are up on the 727's history, basically a year ago, it was actually March 2nd, 2016, it took its last flight, and on its last flight, it carried patches. And I got one of the patches that was on the last flight of that plane. So this book basically talks about the hydraulic systems and the landing gear. Like I said, everything in the aircraft. Now, the first couple pages here are just photos of the aircraft in general. You know, you've got a photo here of the actual navigator's area, and I believe there's some more photos of the cockpit. Yeah. So, this book is very old. I do not know an exact date, but anywhere between 1963 and 1965. I am leaning more toward 1965 because there is a plane with registration in there that I looked up, and it led me to 1965. But I don't think that I will go through every page in this book. I would absolutely love to, but unfortunately I don't think it's going to happen. If I do, I might record it and speed it up and put that at the end of the video. But here, ooh boy, voice cracks, we've got N7003 uniform. Now, as you can tell, this book is very old, and that's one of the first off the production line. The very first one was sold to United as 7001. So being 7003, it is one of the first. Now here's just some underside shots of the aircraft. Some more instructional things. We got some notes taken in this book, of course, because this book would have been used to study and be used in the field. I'm not really sure what to narrate at this point. I just want to show you the amazing contents of this book. There are very few people in the world that will be able to get their hands on such an artifact, in my opinion. Here's a photo of the left main gear, as you can see. And, yep, you guessed it, right main gear. Now, all these photos, I would assume, would have been taken for this. These aren't photos that you could find on the internet. Of course, they're going to be in Boeing's archives. But, these are some one-of-a-kind pictures that I do not think you'll find anywhere else. It just got some more, you know, photos of the hydraulics and everything up inside the aircraft. Yep. I'm just going to scroll through these, and you can see all the photos that they've got in this manual. You can see we got the spoilers there, bottom of the fuselage. Got the nose gear. Now, after the first flight of this aircraft, the crew that actually helped work on it signed all over the nose gear door. You know, all up inside here. There's another photo. There's some more photos. Now once I get through all of these photos, I will of course skip through a lot of the pages that just have literature on them. There's a good chance that you are not going to be reading this to restore a 727. But yeah, just the photos are probably the most interesting part for this video. This is going to be a very long video. I'm guessing that it's going to be over 10 minutes. But I think it's important. Gonna have to keep rotating the book here. You can see this is the nose of the aircraft. Got the radar dish there. This is a pretty cool photo. Now I can only assume that all of these photos were taken of the first aircraft. It could be, it could be the 4th production line model, but I'm going to assume that it's the first one. Maybe somewhere in here it'll say. Well, there's a lot of notes taken on this page. Auxiliary power, or it says auxiliary power unit, exhaust door. It's the tail skid for those bad rotations. This is the rear stairs. One of the few aircraft that actually has stairs leading up into it. The 727 is a very self-sustaining unit. I think that's one of the main reasons that I like the 727 so much. After all, it is my favorite aircraft. Now, like I was saying, the reason that I think I like it is because it's a self-sustaining unit. It was built to operate independently. This was the very first real production aircraft to have an APU, or auxiliary power unit. That is basically standard on all commercial aircraft nowadays. Now I got some pictures of it on modern day aircraft. If you've ever wondered what that exhaust is in the tail of the aircraft, that's what that is. And the 727 was the first to have that. So the auxiliary power unit is basically just a generator that allows the aircraft to operate, on the ground without having to plug into an airport. A prime example of that is when Alaska Airlines purchased some 727s. They were flying some runs up in Alaska, and you're always not going to have access to power whenever you land at an airport. So, of course, having a unit that would produce enough electricity to run the aircraft on the ground, that was a key selling point for airlines. The 727 also had some extremely aggressive flaps. The flaps went out to 40 degrees, just so that way it could land on the shortest possible runways. People didn't like that so much, felt unsafe, and I absolutely understand, It's great that the flaps extend that far, but they said it was very dangerous. Here we got a registration. So this is 7003 uniform, just like the picture before. So I'm going to assume that all of these photos are of the aircraft November 7003 uniform. We'll just go with that. So here, of course, got the engines powered by the wonderful JT8D. And I think we're gonna finish up with the photos here soon. Yep, we don't have very many to go. This is already 9 minutes just in the photos, so I'm gonna predict this video is gonna be about 15 minutes. Of course, you can all tell how long the video is right now. Let's see how accurate I am. Now this page, I've barely looked through this book, by the way. Pan American World Airways, Aircraft Operating Manual. All the photos were of United Aircraft though, which is kind of funny. Here you have an index, if you can read all that. It's kind of a hard to read font, but you could pause the video, of course, and read it. Ooh, we got more. This is a pretty interesting page. It really kind of shows the contents of the book. Alright. So we're going to have some diagrams up here of the aircraft, I would assume. Ooh, here's some more detailed things of the contents. He's got a general diagram of the plane itself. Now that we're going to illustrations, I think I'm going to darken the video a little bit. Wow. This is amazing. I mean, really, this is the first time that I have seen all of these pages. I've just kind of looked through before the video and flagged some interest pages, but this is really cool. Alright, is this flaps? I don't know. No, it's the engine. Let's see if it'll focus. Surprisingly, I just glanced through, of course, but I didn't really find anything, anything substantial, at least, on the flaps. So this is talking about the stairs, how to operate the stair system. Let's get through some of that and find some more illustrations. This is titled Air Conditioning System. So if you want to read up on that, go right ahead. Alright. Got some more. I think I'm going to cut ahead to my first page of interest. I'm just looking through, seeing if I'm missing anything. Looks like a bunch of words. Now, this first bookmark I have made is about the APU, the Auxiliary Power Unit. Now, like I said, it was the first to be on the aircraft. 727 kind of made the road for that. So basically, this is going to be the first appearance of the APU in any sort of books or texts open to the public, or at least the public studying up on the topic. So there's really only one like this anywhere, because this is the first, or at least one of the first. I can't tell you for sure if it was the first. I have a feeling you're not going to be able to read all that, so I'm not going to hold the pages up close. And that's the end of the APU. Now we're talking about autopilot in this section. We got a lot of text here. Got another diagram talking about the electronics. Let's see what else there is. Like I said, I have barely looked through this, so basically you're seeing this the first time just like I am. Wow. There we go. Talking about some switches in the cockpit, I would assume. How they affect the aircraft. Got a lot of them here, though. Alright. Skip over a lot of that. Now, I'm sorry that I'm not going through the entire book, but I just have a feeling that a lot of my audience isn't going to be reading the entire book. If you guys actually want a review, or at least a full coverage of this book, comment down below. I've got, a couple weeks, maybe a week and a half, before I have to return this. So, if you want to see it, better comment fast. If you've seen cockpits of 727, you can tell that this is front and center in there. And I flagged this just because it had a nice overall diagram of the aircraft. Here, I'm going to move that to the side. This is going to be sideways on your screen. Sorry about that. I just don't want to tweak the book for the camera. But there you have it. Now we're talking about the fire protection system on this side of the book, on this page. And of course we got a lot of literature that you probably won't be reading. There's some interesting diagrams. Let's stop along there. This is the rudder control system. There's a regular photo and then going sideways. So of course that diagram right in the center of the screen there, that is a bird's eye view of what the rudder would look like. Of course. Now, do correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that the 707, the rudder was kind of a static movement and it didn't curve. This is like a 2 or 3 piece rudder. I don't believe this is the first aircraft to have that, but it's one of the first Boeing commercial aircraft to have a rudder where the control surface actually curves. I'm not sure what effect that would have. It'd probably just be a smoother transition during flight, so you could probably operate the rudder at faster speeds as well. puts less stress on it when it curves like that. It's a little bit more aerodynamic, just more eco-friendly in general. Here you've got the pilot yokes, and we just broke 15 minutes as well, so my prediction was absolutely wrong of how long the video would be. But I suppose here you can kind of see how the yokes work. I'll zoom in on that so you can actually read the text. If you're on PC, you'd probably want to have switched to mobile by now so you could put your phone or tablet on landscape and rotate the screen as I go through the video. But here we're talking about, looks like just control surfaces in general. Yeah, roll control system. So this would be aileron and anything alike. It's pretty interesting. Let's see what else there is. Alright, we're going to skip over any of the literature we've got. I don't think we're big on reading all that stuff. There's another diagram of the plane just for fun. What is this? This looks like... Oh, there's a flap system. There we go, finally found it. Wow, that looks complex. More diagrams on the control surfaces, hydraulics, all that stuff. Where's the flaps? I believe it is this page. Alright. Anyway, got a diagram of the wing there. Talking about how they extend, you know, that looks like the leading edge of the wing. Talking about the slats in the front as well. Alright. Kudos to you if you've stuck this far into the video as well. You must be very interested in this topic. Honestly, if I were on YouTube and I found this video, I would have skipped through the video. But if you've watched all 17 minutes and 12 seconds so far, I applaud you. It's a very interesting book anyway. It's good historical stuff to have online. Now, preserve it forever. Paper can deteriorate, and the first couple pages were pretty brittle. But online encryption should last longer. Looks like just a lot more writing. Let's see what else there is. Looking for anything of interest. Now, it is kind of amazing that the actual hole ring punches in these pages aren't worn through, because this book would have been used in the field, you know. Of course, it would be something to study from, but I would assume that this book would be used quite a bit. So whoever was using this book must have cared about their stuff. Alright, I think that's pretty much it for that section. Now here is just a couple more cool photos of the actual instruments in the cockpit. I think it starts right here, yeah. So, for once the diagrams are actually horizontal, we can hold the book like this. There's the notes that they've taken. This looks like it's on the port side of the cockpit, where the pilot would be. Yeah, left panel, pilots. Now up top, this is going to be kind of hard to show. There we go. Looks like center. You got the rows of 3. I love trijets. Of course, this had 3 engines. You better know that by now. What else we got? I think there's a couple more diagrams of the gauges in here. Yep. Flight engineers panel. So this is the lower half of their panel. Let's see what some of the notes say. See if it says anything that may tell us more about what these gauges did. Now what this looks... Yep, overhead panel. Still the flight operator, flight controller. Navigator, whatever you want to call him. The 1/3 guy that you never think of when you're flying the plane. And this is an interesting thing. So I actually got to see the 727 just a couple days after its last flight, or at least this is the first production 727. I got to see it a couple days after the last flight when they had a tour. And looking through this book briefly right before the video, saw that photo, and I remembered this. Now, I saw that, and I thought that was just kind of cool. It's just nice to look through and recognize things. Makes me feel smart. You got some more instrumentation, you know, descriptions. This should be pretty much general to all aircraft, nothing really specific to the 727. Here's a diagram of the gear, and some more over here. That's a cool diagram. Oops, bumped the camera, but that's cool. Got the little photo of the plane on the bottom right as well. There's another nice diagram. Boy. And a lot of this stuff, I think that we've covered all the important topics here. A lot of the stuff is actually, you know, applied in other aircraft as well. So it's nothing specific to this airplane, which is really what I'm looking for. I think that we've pretty much covered it. Here you got the cockpit, talking about the oxygen systems, apparently. That's what it says in the top right. Alright, here's some diagrams of the engines. And I believe that's it. We're down to the past about 18 pages in the book. Or the last 18 pages. Left side, GT8D. What else we got? Believe it or not, right side. We were due for the right side. I don't know if you can read any of that. It's about as close as I can get without tweaking the book strangely. What is this? Anyway, I believe that I have covered this book quite well. Now, if you stuck through this whole video, I applaud you, and this page is already loose in the back. Kind of cautious of that. Made sure I didn't lose it along the way. But yeah, if you watch the whole video, good work. I applaud you. Now, if you just skip through, that means that you're like me. I would have done that too. But I hope you enjoyed that video. It's a really rare occasion that I'll be granted with some, you know, amazing book like this. I don't have very many aviation artifacts, and of course I still don't own this. Like I said, it was my dad's coworker that said he had this. But yeah, I enjoyed my experience with this text, and I hope that you did too. Hope you may have learned something or just found it entertaining or cool in the first place. But I hope you enjoyed, and I'll be bringing more soon. Bye.